Dr. Lisa Grant pressed her face against the small window of the research ship New Horizon. The stars looked different here, so far from Earth. She had been studying alien life for 10 years, but this was her first trip to the edge of known space. The Kepler 442 system held secrets that might change everything humans knew about life in the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison walked up behind her. "We'll reach the moon in 2 hours, Doc. You excited?" Lisa smiled. "Very. The energy readings from this place are unlike anything we've seen before. If there's ancient alien life here, we could learn so much." Jake nodded. He was a good captain, calm and smart. His crew trusted him completely. The New Horizon was not a big ship, but it was perfect for deep space research. Along with Lisa and Jake, the crew included Tony Blake, their security chief, and Amy Davis, who handled all communications with Earth. The moon they were heading to had no name, just a number, K4427. It was small and cold, but their sensors showed strange crystal formations on the surface. These crystals gave off energy signals that made no sense. They pulsed like a heartbeat, even though they should have been dead rock. 2 hours later, the New Horizon entered orbit around the moon. Lisa watched the surface through the ship's cameras. Dark mountains rose from frozen plains, but scattered. Across the landscape were towers of blue crystal that glowed with their own light. "I've never seen anything like this," Amy said from her station. "The crystals are definitely artificial. Someone built them." Tony checked his weapons. "Could be dangerous. We should be careful down there." Jake made the decision. "We'll take a small team to the surface. Lisa, Tony, and me. Amy, you stay here and keep watch." The landing shuttle touched down near the largest crystal tower. Lisa could hardly contain her excitement as they stepped onto the moon's surface. The crystals were even more beautiful up close. They stood 30 feet tall, perfectly smooth, and filled with swirling blue light. Lisa ran her scanner over the nearest crystal. "These are incredibly old, maybe 1,000,000 years, but they're still active, still producing energy." Tony kept his rifle ready as he watched the horizon. "Who built them?" "I don't know," Lisa said. "But whoever they were far more advanced than us." As Lisa worked, Jake explored the area around the crystals. He found something that made his blood run cold. Scattered around the base of the towers were bones. Lots of bones. They came from different creatures, some small, some large. All of them had been cleanly cut, as if something had sliced through them with incredible precision. "Lisa, you need to see this," Jake called. Lisa looked at the bones and felt sick. "These are from different worlds, different species. Someone brought them here." "Or something," Tony added grimly. That's when Amy's voice crackled through their radios. Her voice was tight with fear. "Captain, we have a problem. I'm reading massive energy signatures approaching from the outer system. Whatever's coming, it's huge." Jake grabbed his radio. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes, maybe less, Captain. These ships are enormous. Much bigger than anything humans have ever built." The three of them ran back to the shuttle. As they lifted off from the moon's surface, Lisa looked back at the crystal towers. Now, she understood what they were. They weren't just monuments. They were markers. Tombstones for all the species that had died here. Back on the New Horizon, the crew watched their screens in horror. 3 massive ships appeared on their sensors, each one the size of a small city. The ships were black as space itself, with strange curves and angles that hurt to look at. "Try to contact them," Jake ordered. Amy worked at her station. "I'm sending signals on all frequencies. No response." The alien ships moved closer. They were beautiful in a terrible way, like predators built from metal and energy. As they approached, the New Horizon systems began to fail. Lights flickered. The engines died. Even the air recyclers stopped working. "They're doing something to our ship," Tony said. "Some kind of weapon." Jake tried to restart the engines, but nothing worked. The New Horizon was completely helpless, drifting in space like a broken toy. One of the alien ships moved alongside them. Up close, Lisa could see details that made her stomach turn. The ship's hull was covered in what looked like trophies. Pieces of metal and bone from dozens of different ships and species were welded to the alien vessel like decorations. A deep voice filled the ship's bridge. It spoke perfect English, but with an accent that sounded like grinding metal. Humans of Earth, we are the Crithani. We have watched your species spread across the stars. You show promise as prey. Jake stepped forward. We're not looking for trouble. We're just scientists. The voice laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. All species say that. You will learn differently. For 1,000,000 years we have hunted the galaxy's most interesting life forms. Now it is your turn. The Crithani ship attached itself to the New Horizon. Lisa heard cutting sounds from the hull. They were breaking in. Amy, send a message to Earth, Jake ordered. Tell them what's happening here. Amy's fingers flew over her controls. Message sent, but I don't know if it got through. The airlock door exploded inward. Through the smoke came creatures from humanity's worst nightmares. The Crithani stood 9 feet tall, with bodies covered in black armor that looked like it had grown from their skin. They had 4 arms, each ending in claws that could cut through steel. Their heads were elongated, with multiple eyes that glowed red in the darkness. Tony fired his rifle, but the bullets bounced off the alien's armor like raindrops. One of the Crithani moved faster than Lisa's eyes could follow. Its claws swept through the air and Tony fell to the floor bleeding. Tony! Jake rushed to help his friend, but it was too late. The lead Crithani looked at the surviving humans with what might have been amusement. Do not resist. You will live longer that way. You are coming with us to the hunting grounds. There you will learn what it means to be prey. Lisa felt claws grip her arms. As the Crithani dragged her away from the New Horizon, she looked back at their ship. It had been their home, their hope of returning to Earth. Now it was just another trophy for the galaxy's apex predators. The hunt had begun. Admiral Ben Tucker stood in the command center of Earth's biggest space station. The message from the New Horizon had reached Earth 3 days ago. Amy Davis had managed to send just enough information before the signal died. The words still echoed in Ben's mind. Massive alien ships. They call themselves Crithani. They hunt intelligent species. Earth is in danger. Ben was 60 years old and had served in Earth's defense forces for most of his life. He had fought pirates and settled colony disputes, but nothing had prepared him for this. Humanity was about to face something that hunted civilizations for sport. The first attacks came without warning. The colony world of New Texas went silent on a Tuesday morning. Then New California stopped responding to radio calls. By the end of the week, 12 human worlds had gone dark. Dr. Karen Walsh worked day and night in her laboratory on Mars. She was humanity's best scientist when it came to alien technology. Her team had been studying the few pieces of alien metal that traders had brought back from the galaxy's edge. Now those fragments were their only hope of understanding what humanity faced. The metal is incredibly advanced, Karen told Ben during their video call. It's stronger than anything we can make, but it has strange properties. It seems to absorb certain types of energy. Ben rubbed his tired eyes. Can we use that against them? Maybe. But I need more samples. Much more. Pete Johnson, the best engineer in the solar system, worked with Karen's team. He had designed most of humanity's newest spaceships. Now he studied the alien metal under powerful microscopes, trying to understand how it worked. This stuff is like nothing I've ever seen, Pete told Karen. It's not just metal. It's like it's alive somehow. It changes its properties based on what's around it. Meanwhile, Marine Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy led evacuation efforts on the outer colonies. Steve was a tough soldier who had seen combat on a dozen worlds. But even he was shocked by what the Crithani left behind. They don't just kill everyone, Steve reported to Ben. They take most people alive. The ones they leave behind are too scared to talk. They just stare at the sky and shake. The pattern became clear as more worlds fell. The Crithani would arrive with their massive black ships. They would disable all human technology with some kind of energy weapon. Then they would take millions of people, leaving only a few survivors to spread fear. On Earth, President Linda Hayes called an emergency meeting of the world government. Leaders from every nation gathered to hear Ben's report. The Crithani have taken over 40 human worlds, Ben told the assembled leaders. We estimate they've captured over 50 million people. Our military can't stop them. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. President Hayes was a strong woman who had led Earth through many crises. But this was different. What do they want with our people? Based on the survivors' reports, they use them for hunting. They turn entire worlds into hunting grounds and release humans to be hunted for sport. The room fell silent. The idea was too horrible to accept. Dr. Walsh spoke up from her seat. I've been studying the few pieces of their technology we have. The Crithani are ancient. They've been doing this for thousands of years, maybe longer. They've hunted dozens of species to extinction. Then what makes them think humans will be, any different? Asked the Secretary of Defense. Maybe nothing, Ben said quietly. Maybe we're just the next species to die. But President Hayes stood up. Her voice was firm. No. Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We've survived everything this universe has thrown at us. We're not going to give up now. Steve Murphy had returned to Earth to help plan humanity's defense. He brought video recordings from the attacked colonies. The images were hard to watch. Crithani ships hung in the sky like black clouds while smaller ships swept down to collect humans like cattle. They're efficient, Steve told the War Council. They know exactly how to break human resistance. They target leaders first, then anyone who might organize a defense. They leave children alive but take the parents. They know how to make people give up hope. Karen worked with Pete to develop new weapons. They studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Slowly, they began to understand how Crithani ships worked. Their armor isn't perfect, Karen explained to the military leaders. It has a specific frequency it can't absorb. If we can build weapons that use that frequency, we might have a chance. Pete designed new missile systems based on Karen's research. These won't be like our old weapons. They'll be specifically made to fight Crithani technology. But even as humanity prepared its defenses, more worlds fell. The Crithani hunting fleets moved through human space like a plague. Each world they took made them stronger, and humanity weaker. The breaking point came when the Crithani attacked Earth's moon base. Luna City was home to 10 million people. Ben watched helplessly as the Crithani ships surrounded the moon. The base's weapons couldn't even scratch the alien ships' hulls. In 12 hours, Luna City was empty. The Crithani had taken everyone, leaving only empty buildings and silence. President Hayes made the hardest decision of her life. She authorized something that humanity had hoped never to use: total war protocols. Every resource, every person, every idea would be focused on one goal, not just survival, but victory. The Crithani think they're hunting prey, she told the world in her final broadcast before going underground. They're about to learn that humans are not prey. We're predators. And when predators are threatened, they don't run. They hunt back. In Kreki, secret bases around the solar system, humanity began to prepare. Karen's weapons were mass-produced. Pete's new ships rolled off assembly lines. Steve trained soldiers for a new kind of war. But the Crithani were already moving toward Earth. Their biggest hunting fleet ever assembled was coming for humanity's homeworld. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Karen Walsh stared at the alien blood sample under her microscope. After months of studying captured Crithani technology, she had finally gotten something better. A wounded Crithani had been found on the remains of Luna City, and its blood told her everything she needed to know. "Pete, come look at this," she called to her partner. Pete Johnson rolled his chair over to Karen's workstation. Deep underground in the Mars research facility, they had been working for 18 hours straight. Both looked exhausted, but Karen's eyes were bright with discovery. "The Crithani blood shows something incredible," Karen said. "They're not just hunters. They're addicted to hunting. Their brain chemistry actually changes when they hunt. It makes them feel pleasure like a drug." Pete looked at the data on her screen. "So hunting isn't just what they do. It's what they need to do." "Exactly. And that makes them predictable. An addict always follows the same patterns. They can't help themselves." This discovery reached Admiral Ben Tucker within hours. He immediately sent word to Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy, who was planning the most dangerous mission in human history. Steve stood in the briefing room looking at his team. He had chosen them carefully. Nick Carter was the best demolitions expert in the Marines. Rosa Martinez could shoot the wings off a fly at 1,000 yards. Tim Brooks knew more about alien technology than anyone except Dr. Walsh herself. Our mission is simple, Steve told them. We're going to infiltrate a Crithani hunting preserve and rescue as many humans as we can, but that's not the real goal. The real goal is to learn how to kill them. The team launched from Earth in one of Pete's new stealth ships. The Crithani couldn't detect it because it used technology copied from their own vessels. The journey to the hunting preserve took 2 weeks. The preserve was a world called Xerion Prime. It had once been home to a peaceful alien race called the Mekarans. The Crithani had wiped them out 50 years ago and turned their world into a giant hunting ground. Now it was filled with captured humans from dozens of colonies. Steve's team landed on the dark side of the planet. The world was a nightmare landscape of twisted metal and broken cities. The Crithani had built mazes and traps throughout the ruins. Somewhere in this maze, thousands of humans were trying to survive while being hunted for sport. The life sign. Readings show humans scattered all over the planet, Tim said, checking his scanner. But there's a large group in the old capital city. The team moved carefully through the ruins. Rosa kept watch while Nick checked for traps. Tim monitored alien communications. They moved like ghosts through the darkness. In the ruins of the UIU, old capital, they found something that gave Steve hope. Captain Jake Morrison was still alive. The man who had first encountered the Crithani was now leading a group of human survivors. He had learned to hide from the Crithani hunters and keep people alive. Morrison, Steve whispered as he approached the hidden camp. Jake spun around, hardly believing his eyes. Human soldiers? How did you get here? Long story. We're here to get you out. Jake shook his head. There are 3,000 humans on this world. I'm not leaving without them. Steve looked around the camp. The survivors were thin and scared, but they were alive. Jake had kept them alive for months in hell. Tell me about the Crithani, Steve said. How do they hunt? Jake's eyes went hard. They follow patterns. Same routes, same times, same methods. They're so confident that they've become predictable. I've been watching them for months. This was exactly what Dr. Walsh had predicted. Steve smiled for the first time in weeks. Then we're going to use their patterns against them, Steve said. Over the next 3 days, Jake showed Steve's team how the Crithani hunted. The aliens would release groups of humans into different sections of the preserve. Then Crithani hunters would track them down using advanced sensors and weapons. It was always the same. The Crithani were so sure of their superiority that they never changed their methods. They think we're just prey animals, Jake explained. They don't expect us to fight back with intelligence. Steve began to form a plan. What if we turned their own preserve against them? Nick studied the maze-like city. These ruins are full of ways to set traps. If we know where they're going to be, we can be waiting for them, Rosa finished. The first test came when a Crithani hunting party entered their section of the city. Instead of running, the humans hid and watched. Steve counted 6 Crithani hunters, each one 9 feet tall and armed with energy weapons. The Crithani moved through the ruins following their usual path. They expected to find humans running in panic. Instead, they found nothing. That's when Nick's explosives went off. The blast brought down an entire building on top of the hunting party. When the dust cleared, 3 Crithani were dead, and the others were wounded and confused. Now, Steve whispered. Rosa's rifle cracked from a hidden position. Her special ammunition designed by Dr. Walsh punched through Crithani armor like paper. Another hunter fell. The remaining Crithani tried to retreat, but Jake had positioned survivors to block their escape routes. The hunters found themselves trapped in their own preserve. Tim jammed their communications while the humans closed in from all sides. For the first time in their history, the Crithani were the ones being hunted. The last hunter died trying to reach its ship. As it fell, Steve saw something he had never expected to see. Fear in a Crithani's eyes. Word of the successful hunt spread through the human survivors. For months they had lived in terror. Now they had hope. But more importantly, they had learned something that would change everything. The Crithani could be killed. They could be hunted. They could feel fear. Jake Morrison looked at the dead aliens and smiled grimly. Time to show them what human predators can do. News of the successful hunt on Zerion Prime reached Earth within days. Admiral Ben Tucker read Steve Murphy's report 3 times before he believed it. Humans had actually killed Crithani hunters. Not just survived them, but hunted them down and killed them. Send this to every human fleet in the galaxy, Ben ordered. Let everyone know that the Crithani can die. Dr. Karen Walsh worked around the clock studying the Crithani bodies that Steve's team had recovered. Each dead alien taught her more about their weaknesses. She discovered that their armor had blind spots. Their weapons overheated after extended use. Most importantly, their confidence made them sloppy. They've been apex predators for so long that they've forgotten how to be careful, Karen explained to the War Council. They don't expect resistance, so they don't prepare for it. Pete Johnson used Karen's discoveries to design new weapons and ships. The old human military doctrine was thrown away. Everything was rebuilt around one idea: hunting Crithani. We're not going to fight them like a traditional military, Pete told his engineering teams. We're going to hunt them like wolves hunt deer, in packs, using coordination and intelligence. The new human ships were smaller and faster than before. They worked in groups of 5 or 6, designed to surround and overwhelm larger Crithani vessels. Each ship carried weapons specifically built to punch through Crithani armor. Captain Lisa Grant had been rescued from Zerion Prime along with thousands of other survivors. She now led scientific teams that studied every aspect of Crithani technology and biology. Her months in captivity had given her insights that no one else possessed. The Crithani Empire is built on fear, Lisa explained to Ben during a strategy meeting. Every species they've conquered believes they're invincible. But once other aliens see them losing to humans, everything will change. Ben smiled grimly. Then let's make sure the whole galaxy is watching. The first major battle came at the Vega system. A Crithani hunting fleet had arrived to harvest the human colonies there, but instead of defenseless prey, they found Admiral Ben Tucker's new Wolfpack fleet waiting for them. The Crithani expected the humans to flee or surrender. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by dozens of small, fast ships that attacked, like angry wasps. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, each one covering the others as they struck at weak points in the Crithani vessels. Captain Rosa Martinez commanded one of the Wolfpack ships. She had transferred from the Marines after her success on Zerion Prime. Her ship, the Hunter's Moon, carried some of Pete's most advanced weapons. Target their engine sections, Rosa ordered her crew. Dr. Walsh says that's their weakest point. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of 2 fleets facing each other in straight lines, it was a 3-dimensional dance of predator and prey. But this time, the humans were the predators. Crithani ships began to explode one by one. Their ancient armor, which had protected them for millennia, was useless against weapons designed specifically to kill them. When the last Crithani ship tried to flee, 6 human vessels chased it down and destroyed it before it could escape. The victory at Vega sent shockwaves through the Crithani Empire. For the first time in their history, an entire hunting fleet had been destroyed. The aliens who had served the Crithani for centuries began to whisper, maybe the great hunters weren't so invincible after all. Colonel Steve Murphy led ground teams that liberated the hunting preserve worlds. These operations were different from normal military missions. They were manhunts with humans tracking down Crithani through their own twisted landscapes. Jake Morrison had become an expert at hunting Crithani. He taught other humans how to move silently through the preserve worlds, how to set traps, and how to think like predators instead of prey. The key is patience, Jake told a group of new recruits. Humans are persistence hunters. We don't need to be faster or stronger. We just need to never give up. On the preserve world of Keth 7, Jake's team spent 3 weeks tracking a single Crithani commander. The alien had ruled that world for 20 years, hunting thousands of different species for sport. It knew every hiding place, every trap, every advantage the preserve offered. but it had never been hunted by humans before. Jake's team used the Chthoni's own hunting patterns against it. They predicted where it would go, what routes it would take, and what tactics it would use. When the alien commander finally realized it was being hunted, it was too late. The Chthoni tried to reach its command ship, but Nick Carter's explosives had already destroyed the landing pad. It tried to call for help, but Tim Brooks had jammed all communications. It tried to hide in its favorite hunting blind, but Rosa Martinez was already waiting there with her rifle. The death of the Keth-7 commander was broadcast across the galaxy. Other species watched in amazement as the mighty Chthoni fell to human weapons. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer prey. Back on Earth, President Linda Hayes addressed the human population. "The tables have turned," she announced. "The hunters have become the hunted. But we won't stop until every human prisoner is free, and every Chthoni threat is eliminated." The Chthoni Empire began to crumble. Client species that had served them for centuries started to rebel. Hunting fleets that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia began to retreat to their home systems. But the humans weren't satisfied with just driving them away. Dr. Walsh's research had shown them something important. The Chthoni would never stop hunting. It was in their nature, coded into their very genetics. As long as they exist, they'll be a threat, Karen told the War Council. They can't change what they are. Admiral Tucker nodded. Then we hunt them all. The galaxy watched in fear and wonder as humanity transformed into something new. No longer the scattered colonists who had been easy prey. They had become a unified hunting machine. Every human ship, every human soldier, every human scientist had one goal: the complete elimination of the Chthoni threat. The apex predators of the galaxy had made a fatal mistake. They had given humanity a reason to become predators too. The Chthoni delegation arrived at Gamma Station looking nothing like the proud predators who had once terrorized the galaxy. Admiral Ben Tucker watched through the station's windows as their ship docked. It was smaller than their old hunting vessels, and it moved carefully, almost fearfully. 3 Chthoni representatives walked into the meeting room. Their once shining armor was dull and scratched. Their red eyes, which had once glowed with hunting fever, now darted nervously around the room. These creatures had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but now they looked like scared animals. The lead Chthoni spoke in perfect English, but its voice shook. "Admiral Tucker, we come to discuss peace between our species." Ben sat across from them at the long table. He was not alone. Dr. Lisa Grant sat to his right, her scientific mind still studying their former captors. Colonel Steve Murphy stood behind them, his hand resting on his weapon. Dr. Karen Walsh attended by video link from Mars, her face hard with memories of the research that had broken Chthoni supremacy. "Peace," Ben repeated the words slowly. "You hunt our species for sport, enslave millions of our people, and turn our worlds into death mazes. Now you want peace." The Chthoni leader's forearms moved nervously. "We understand your anger, but continued war will only bring more death to both sides." Lisa leaned forward. During her months in captivity, she had learned to read Chthoni body language. These aliens were terrified. "You're not here because you want peace. You're here because you're losing." "The human species has proven itself worthy," another Chthoni said quickly. "We acknowledge your superiority as hunters. We offer to withdraw from human space and end all hunting of your kind." Steve laughed coldly. "Just our kind? What about all the other species you've been hunting for centuries?" The Chthoni exchanged glances. This was not a question they had expected. Ben stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see human ships patrolling the station. The new Wolfpack vessels moved like sharks through space, ready to hunt down any threat. "Dr. Walsh," Ben said to the screen, "tell our guests what you've learned about their species." Karen's face appeared larger on the screen. "The Chthoni are biologically addicted to hunting intelligent life. It's not a choice for them. It's a need, like breathing or eating. They can't stop hunting any more than humans can stop needing food." The Crithani leader started to protest, but Karen continued. Every treaty you've ever signed with other species has been broken. Every peace agreement has lasted only until you found new prey. You've made the same offer to dozens of species over the centuries. Then you betrayed them all. The truth hung in the air like a weapon. The Crithani could not deny it because it was exactly what they had done. Ben turned back to face them. Here are our terms. You will release every prisoner from every hunting preserve in the galaxy. Not just humans. Every species you've captured. That is acceptable, the lead Crithani said quickly. You will surrender all your hunting preserve, worlds to become refugee planets under human protection. The aliens looked uncomfortable but nodded. You will accept human observers on all your remaining worlds to ensure you never hunt intelligent life again. And if we refuse these terms? One of the Crithani asked. Steve stepped forward. Then we hunt you to extinction. Every last one of you. The Crithani looked at each other with fear. They had seen what humans could do when they decided to hunt. Entire Crithani fleets had vanished. Their greatest hunters had been tracked down and killed on their own preserve worlds. The humans fought like a force of nature, relentless and unstoppable. We accept, the leader said quietly. The peace signing took place 1 week later. Representatives from dozens of species came to witness it. Many were former prey species that the Crithani had hunted. Others were aliens who had served the Crithani. Empire out of fear. Captain Jake Morrison led the liberation of the final hunting preserves. He had become the symbol of human resistance, the man who had learned to turn hunters into prey. Under his command, millions of beings from across the galaxy were freed from their cages. The preserve worlds became something new. Instead of hunting grounds, they became refugee centers where former prey species could rebuild their lives under human protection. Humans had learned something important. Being the apex predator meant protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Dr. Pete Johnson designed new ships for exploration and protection instead of war. But every human vessel still carried weapons designed to kill Crithani. The message was clear to the galaxy. Humanity was watching. Colonel Steve Murphy established the Apex Corps, an elite human unit dedicated to hunting down any species that threatened others. Their motto was simple: no one hunts alone. It meant that any species that preyed on others would find humans hunting them in return. The Crithani Empire collapsed completely within a year. Their client species either joined the new human-protected alliance or went their own way. The few Crithani who remained lived on reservation worlds under constant human supervision. Some people asked if humans should simply wipe out the Crithani completely. Dr. Lisa Grant argued against it. If we become genocidal killers, we become the monsters we fought against. We're better than that. But the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had become the new apex predator not through cruelty, but through cold, methodical application of everything evolution had taught them. Humans were persistence hunters who never gave up. They were pack predators who worked together perfectly. Most importantly, they were intelligent enough to know when to hunt and when to protect. 5 years after the first Crithani attack, President Linda Hayes spoke to the galaxy from Earth. The age of hunting intelligent species for sport is over. Any species that tries to bring it back will answer to humanity. We are the apex predators now, and we will use that power to protect the innocent. The Crithani had made a simple mistake. They thought humans were just another prey species. They were wrong. Humans were predators who had been sleeping. When the galaxy's apex predators decided to hunt them, they woke up humanity's ancient instincts. Now, the galaxy belonged to a new apex predator, one that hunted hunters.